Hi guys, good evening everyone. Today we'll start about Spring Boot. Guys, am I audible? Guys, please confirm me, am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Yes, thank you. Guys, today we'll discuss about Spring Boot. Okay, Spring Boot is a framework like your Spring only. In the Spring, we have seen what is meant by dependency injection. Okay, and we have also seen how to communicate with your database using Spring JDBC template, isn't it? And we have seen setter dependency injection, constructor dependency injection. We have seen all the things, right, in Spring. Okay, and even in Spring also, we have several drawbacks. Okay, to overcome the drawbacks, we have another framework called Spring Boot framework. Your Spring Boot framework is constructed on, guys, your Spring Boot framework is constructed on Spring module only. Means it is basically constructed on Spring module only, but whatever the disadvantages we had in Spring Boot, okay, we overcame here. Spring Boot is a basically a Spring module. Excuse me, you can see Spring Boot is a basically a Spring module. Means it is also constructed on Spring module only. Spring Boot framework, okay, a Spring Boot is a framework with extra support of auto configuration and embedded application servers. Guys, auto configuration means, okay, you don't need to configure anything in your XML file. So we were used to configure in XML file, right? See, if you want to tell your constructor to create an object, you have to provide two inputs for the container there. Okay, you have to provide two inputs for the container, whether application context container and bean factory container. You have to provide first one is a POSO class, second is an XML file. In XML file, we used to configure everything. Means for what, okay, for which bean you want object, and for dependency injection also we used to configure either we want, okay, P injection or C injection. In a sense, everything we used to configure in XML file. But here, there is no need to configure everything, okay, anything in the XML file at all. You have a feature called auto configuration. Everything will be configured, okay, by a Spring Boot itself and embedded application servers. Guys, for example, if I want to do any web applications in your Spring, we don't have embedded servers. We used to connect with our, okay, external servers. But here, a Spring Boot framework comes with a, okay, a default servers, embedded application servers like a Tomcat and Jetty. Guys, the applications which we develop using Spring can also be developed using Spring Boot with minimal configuration. Whatever the applications which we develop using a Spring, we can develop the same applications using Spring Boot with a minimal configuration because we have features called auto configuration and embedded application servers. Okay, see the major advantage of Spring Boot here, you can see the major advantage of Spring Boot is its auto configuration and embedded servers. How we will get auto configuration and embedded application servers? In the sense, we have annotations for that. Okay, we have annotations. Those annotations will auto means by default it will do all the configurations which is required by our project. Guys, these are the okay several advantages we have. These are, see, what are the drawbacks we have in a traditional Spring framework? See, to develop Spring applications for different modules like core. Okay, if I use a Spring core, you can develop standalone applications. If I use a Spring MVC, you can, okay, develop web applications. See, if you want to, okay, uh, if you want to establish the communication between database, we have a separate class called, we have a separate layer called DAO. We call it as a database operations. So we have, okay, separate layers, core layer, MVC layer, DAO layer, core for standalone, MVC, model view controller for your web applications, DAO for database operations. We have separate layer for each and every, okay, application. We need to use XML configuration or annotations approach for all these layers. If you want to, okay, develop an application, if you write, if you want to write a code, we should use either XML configurations or annotation approach. And these XML, see, annotations are very rare in the Spring. Okay, XML configurations we have to compulsory use it. Okay, at least to instantiate the bean class. So for every layer, if you want to write a code in XML file, it will be, okay, large and hard to maintain. So this is one of the disadvantage in your Spring Boot framework. And second one is we have to configure all the Spring modules in pom.xml file, right? See, we have to configure all the modules in Spring pom.xml file so that Maven will pull all the required dependencies for every module separately, and version of all these modules should be compatible with each other during runtime. Guys, here in the pom.xml file, for example, if I want to build one application, let us say your application will have so many layers. For example, you have a database layer, you have a front end layer, you have a MVC layer for web. For all those layers, you should have correct version. You have to manage the version also. See, that correct version you have to put it in pom.xml file every time. Either I may using DAO, either I may using MVC, like that. See here, so that Maven will pull all the required dependencies for every module separately, and you know this. And version of all these modules should be compatible with each other. In the Spring, if you are using these many layers, all those modules, all those versions of all those modules should be compatible with each other during runtime. If version is wrong, then you cannot build your application at all. Hence, it is difficult for this module management and version management in Spring. This is one of the disadvantage. Module management and version management is difficult in Spring. Spring does not contain features like, features like memory database, in-memory database. Every time we have to work with only external databases like MySQL and Oracle. In the last class, we have using JDBC template. We have seen how to establish the communication between your SQL database and Java application using JDBC template. So every time we have to do operations with external databases only. But here your Spring comes with a inbuilt servers. See here, embedded web servers. Like Tomcat and Jetty. You can always run with your run your application in a internal server also, like your Tomcat and Jetty. Actuators in the sense, when your application is deployed, when your application is deployed in the servers, we actuators will provide several endpoints to know the condition of your running application. We have actuators, starter poms. We have a starter poms, for your version management and module management, auto configuration. So all these we have, all these we don't have in your Spring framework. Let us come to what are the advantages of your Spring Boot framework in detail. Guys, auto configuration, whenever there is a feature called auto configuration, you cannot, there is no need to use any XML file at all. Spring Boot provides a feature called auto configuration. You can see here, Spring Boot automatically configures everything that is required for our application. We don't have to use XML or annotation based or Java configuration anymore. More importantly, XML configuration you don't need to use at all. Okay, because we have feature called auto configuration, and for that auto configuration will be done by something called some annotation called at enable auto configuration. At enable auto configuration, there is a one say there is a one annotation, at Spring, at Spring Boot application. That one annotation is equal to three annotations. At enable auto configuration, at component scanning, we will see how that, what is that particular annotation will do auto configuration. And then Spring Boot starters. Guys, you can see Spring Boot starters. Spring Boot starters takes away the problem of module availability and version management in Spring Boot. Right, in Spring, in Spring, if you want to build the application first, first according to layers, either it may be web layer or standalone applications, you have to download the dependencies with the correct version, and you should have a module management also. Those module and version should be compatible during runtime, or else you cannot build the application. But here, Spring Boot starter will takes away the problem of module availability and version management in Spring Boot. How it will take out in the sense, there is a one, there is a one dependency called Spring Boot starter parent. There is a one dependency called Spring Boot starter parent. This dependency will take care of module availability and version management during runtime in pom.xml file. See, the moment you create one Spring project, you will get this Spring Boot starter parent dependency in pom.xml file. You can see that. I'll show you. This dependency will pull all the version information and various libraries that we will be using in our project. Guys, whatever the various libraries we will be using in our okay project, for all those libraries, a version information will be automatically pulled by a Spring Boot starter parent dependency. Similarly, guys, if you are doing a web application, if you are doing a web application, there is a one dependency called Spring Boot Starter Web. There is a there is a one dependency called Spring Boot Starter Web. This is a dependency which will pull all the with the help of Maven, which will pull all the dependencies required to perform web applications easily. Okay, we'll pull all the required jar files required to do web operations. And similarly, guys, Spring Boot Starter JPA, we call it as JPA, Java Persistence API. Java Persistence API. For example, you're doing REST, RESTful web services like get, put, post. See, whenever we are doing a database operations, whenever you are doing a database operations with external database like your MySQL or Oracle, whatever the jar files we need to perform, either it may be internal database like H2, or external database like MySQL. Whether you're when you're performing database operations from your Java application, whenever we need all the jar files, it will pull. In the sense, Spring Boot Starter JPA will pull all the required dependencies to perform database operations either with in-memory database H2 or external database called MySQL. Guys, H2 is the name of the internal database, which comes with a Spring Boot. You cannot, see, you can see what are the queries executed here. You don't have access for this. See, in external database, you can write your own queries, means you can create your own schema. Yes, in the last class, I've shown you how to create a schema, how to activate your database, how to write a query. For example, how to create a table, inserting values into the table. I've shown you everything in the last class. So with external database, we will have all the access to do it. But here in the internal database, you can establish the communication between your Spring Boot application and database. You can see what are the queries executed in the background, but we will not have any access to write our own queries into the H2, because H2 is a just internal memory database, comes with the Spring Boot. See, guys, these many dependencies will have in the pom.xml file, and each and every dependency will have its own importance. Guys, embedded web server or container. Spring Boot comes with the embedded servlet container. And these containers by default is a Tomcat, but you can also use Jetty and Undertow. Guys, see, in the last time, every time we were application context container, bean factory container is like a server. Container is like a server. Into that, we were deploying our application every time, right? We were deploying our application. But here, Spring Boot comes with the embedded servlet container. For web application, if you want to do web applications using Spring, you have to install your own server. Into the server, you have to deploy your application. But Spring Boot comes with a default server. There itself, in the default server itself, you can run your application with a particular port number. It comes with a Tomcat and a Jetty. You can also use Undertow. 3 servers we will get: Undertow, Jetty, and Tomcat. Guys, Spring Boot actuators. This is very, very important thing. There is a one feature called actuator. Actuator will provide us an endpoints, several endpoints. Using that endpoints, you can do the health check of your running application. For example, you have deployed some application in your Tomcat server, and if you want to see the condition, in the sense how the application is running, in your Tomcat server after deploying, there is a actuator. There is something called actuator which provides us several endpoints. Using that endpoints, you can perform health checks in the sense the condition of the running application. Spring Boot gives us a health checks of our application for free through the Spring Boot actuators. So we can use a different type of health checks, so that that comes for free, and we can use this even on production when our application is running on production. Guys, in-memory database, I have told you, right? In-memory database, it comes with a default database like H2. Spring Boot comes with a okay, inbuilt database called H2, with which we can perform database operation without any external databases like MySQL and Oracle. But you will not have any access to write our own queries, but you can see what are the queries executed, okay, in the background by your H2 memory database, like you're creating a table, dropping a table like that. We will see this. Okay, we will see both with the external database and with the internal database. Guys, these are the okay advantages of your Spring Boot framework, okay, over your Spring framework. Guys, if you want to execute your Spring Boot framework, we need an IDE called, okay, we need IDE called Spring Tool Suite. You cannot, okay, execute it in Eclipse. Okay, you should install, okay, you should install something called STS, Spring Tool Suite. Guys, this is not, okay, this is not like downloading and installing. You just have to download one jar file. Okay, we will get jar file. We will get jar file, okay, called STS. Download, you go to the Google, just, okay, download Spring Tool Suite. You will, okay, one jar file will be downloaded into your system. You just extract it. Okay, you just extract it using, okay, some extractors. Then using that, it is just a file. It's not like we have to download it and install it. We just have to download the jar files. The jar file, you can use it by extracting. Okay, that is called Spring Tool Suite. All your Spring Boot applications, either for standalone or a web applications, can be executed using something called Spring Tool Suite. Okay, Spring Tool Suite. Guys, now we will simply construct, okay, we will simply construct one simple web application. We will simply construct one simple web application using Spring Tool Suite. Okay, your Spring Tool Suite exactly looks like your, okay, exactly looks like your Eclipse only. Okay, like Eclipse IDE only. But using Eclipse IDE, you cannot perform Spring Boot applications. Guys, this is your STS, Spring Tool Suite. Guys, now what you have to do, what is the first step? Okay, for example, I want to perform one Spring Boot application now. Okay, I want to construct one simple Spring Boot application. Okay, see guys, whenever you, okay, the first step, what is the first step, okay, which I have given? See here, go to the file, new, select Spring Starter project, give the name of the project name. Same, you have to give group ID, artifact ID, like however we have given in your, okay, Spring application in your Eclipse IDE. In the same way you have to give, but at the last you can select your dependencies whatever you want. Okay, see here, the guys, carefully see, one time I will show you. Go to the file, go to the new Spring Starter project. See here, there is a one, okay, there is a one option called Spring Starter project. Click on this Spring Starter project. Guys, here you can give your own name. Okay, project name. Now what I will give is spring dot. I will just give hello world. Spring.hello world. Okay, you can keep your group name as it is, or you can also change it with your current project name. Okay, this demonstration for Spring Boot web application. You can just give your own application. Spring Boot web demonstration for Spring Boot web application. I have given my project name, group ID. I will leave my, okay, artifact. It will automatically take your artifact ID. See guys, click on next. After giving group ID, artifact ID, you will leave your Maven. You leave your, okay, type of a build tool as it is Java version 17. It means 1.7. Jar files, packaging is jar, language is Java. Go to the next. Guys, here you can select whatever the dependencies you want. For example, if I am doing web application, guys, you can see here, if I am doing web application, you can just simply, okay, type web. Okay, see, there is one option called Spring Web here. You can see build web, including RESTful applications using Spring MVC, uses Apache Tomcat as a default embedded Tomcat server. Okay, see, since I am doing web application, I will select this. Guys, if you are doing a, for example, if you are doing JPA, Java Persistence API, you can select JPA. See here, Spring Data JPA. And if you are doing uh, database operations with external database, MySQL, you go to if you type MySQL, you'll get MySQL driver. See guys, here in the right side, how many dependencies I have added? Spring Data JPA, MySQL driver, Spring Web. Using these dependencies, what are the things you can do? Using Spring Web, you can do web application. Using MySQL driver, you can do a database operations with external database called MySQL. Spring Data JPA, Java Persistence API, means using JPA. JPA is an API. You can establish the communication between your Java application and database per entity. See, you can add these dependencies here. Whichever the dependency you select here, guys, all these will be added into the pom.xml file. Okay, all those dependencies will be, see, for Spring Web there will be one dependency, for MySQL driver there will be one dependency, for Spring Data JPA there will be one dependency. Each and every dependency will be added into the pom.xml file, and there, okay, based on the dependencies we have added, Maven will pick that. Maven will pick all these dependencies added in the pop.xml file, and it will download all the jar files. And it will all download all the jar files. See, right now, guys, I am not doing any database operations. I want to simply show you one Spring Boot, web application. So I need only one dependency, is called Spring Web. Guys, finish it. Guys, you can see here, import getting started. Okay, import getting started content. You should have good internet connection for this. Guys, now you can see here in the left corner of my window, I have created one project here. See, whatever the project name I have given, it is created. Let us check what is there. Guys, here, source main Java, the same which was there in our Spring Boot, Spring project also. You can keep your source code here. Okay, you can keep your source code here. The package name, com.praveen.9898, .jpa repository there. Guys, again, source main resources. You can keep your there is something called up in the resources file, there is something called application.properties file. In the sense, in the application.properties file, when you're when you're communicating with your database, you should enter your password, username, JDBC driver name. See, in the last class when I was discussing with JDBC template in the Spring, I've shown you, you need JDBC driver, URL, username, password, okay, and which server you're using, Tomcat, and in which port number you're using. You have to configure everything. Okay, that configurations will be given, will be given in the application.properties file. So and guys, test.java. See, this is the thing which I was deleting every time because I was not doing any JUnit testing. Here I will also show you one example for JUnit testing and how to do a testing as well. See guys, here whatever the test code we want, that test code will be kept under your source test java, for performing JUnit testing, and rest everything, guys, come to the pom.xml file. This is very, very important. Guys, I have shown you. Okay, see guys, I've told you the first dependency, even if you don't add anything there, the default dependency will be in the pom.xml file. That is Spring, okay, Spring boot starter parent. I've told you, Spring boot starter parent, Spring boot starter parent. Okay, will see guys, it will download all the jar files required for the version management as well as a module management. See, if I don't have a Spring Boot starter parent, when I am doing standalone applications or a web applications or a database operations, for every layer when you're downloading libraries, you have to download with the correct module and a correct version. If you don't, if you don't download all those libraries with the correct version and a module during runtime, your application will not run in the Spring application. This is the case in case of a Spring framework, but in Spring Boot framework there is a one there is a one dependency called Spring Boot starter parent. It will look after, in the sense, it will look all the, it will manage our version management as well as a module management during runtime. Guys, other than this Spring Boot starter parent, you can see whatever the a package name and whatever the there artifact ID we have given, everything will come here. com.spring.hello world. Spring.hello world is a artifact ID. This one is a group ID. This is version. See guys, everything will be there. Description, demonstration, Spring Boot web applications, everything will come here. Apart from that, guys, see one of the dependency you have selected is Spring Boot starter web, right? One of the dependency you have selected is Spring Web there. Why do we select a Spring Web? For doing web applications. In order to do any web applications, you have to select Spring Boot starter web. Spring Boot starter web. Guys, here, this is the dependency which will pull all the, okay, this is the dependency taken by a Maven. And Maven will pull all the required dependencies or libraries which we want, okay, to perform web applications. To perform web applications. And this is a default dependency. One more is the default dependency which will come with, okay, in the pom.xml file. When you create either Spring, even in Spring also, when I was creating Spring project in Eclipse, this is a default dependency which was coming, right? Spring Boot starter test. This is the dependency, okay, which depends all the required jar files for performing JUnit testing. For JUnit testing, and rest are same. Okay, there will be a Maven plugins as well. And see, there will be a two default dependencies which will come in the pom.xml file. One is parent for, okay, and one is test. And this is a dependency which we have added while creating the Spring Boot project. This is your pom.xml file. Guys, this is a pom.xml file. Guys, you come here, source-main-jar Java. In this, there is a one package created. Here you can see, okay, application.java. You just click on this application.java. Every Spring Boot project contains this one class called application.java. Guys, you can see here, there is a class called public class application. Here, there is a one annotation for this. The annotation name is at Spring Boot application. You can see that annotation name is at Spring Boot application. Guys, you can place the cursor. This one application, this one annotation is equal to three annotations. Okay, you can see there Spring Boot configuration. You can see here. This annotation is equal to three annotations. Spring Boot configuration. Okay, enable auto configuration, component scanning. Okay, three annotations. Very important question for your interview. What is the use of at Spring Boot application? You should tell first point. Spring Boot application is the, okay, combination of is a combination of three annotations. Spring Boot configuration, at enable auto configuration, component scanning. Okay, guys, component scan, at component scan, at Spring Boot configuration. Guys, when you are doing a web application, when you are performing any web application or standalone application, whatever the default configurations we want, whatever the configurations we want to build our applications, all those configurations will be provided by one annotation called at Spring Boot configuration. At Spring Boot configuration. The next one is at enable auto configuration. See, I've told you the most important feature, of your Spring Boot application is, okay, auto configuration feature means dependency injection, okay, and creation of a bean. Means we don't need to write any configuration in XML file. Everything will be done by one annotation called at auto configuration. And component scanning. Guys, the name itself indicates component scan means, for example, let us say, okay, when you have some three to four beans or pozo classes in your package, if you want to tell your container to create object, for each and every pozo class, you have to configure it in the XML file, right? Like bean ID is equals to, okay, for example, ID is equals to EMP, class is equals to fully qualified class name of employee. For example, there is a one more class called customer. For that also, for every bean, for every pozo, you should tell your container to create an object. But here there is something called component scan. Okay, means in the package, whatever the classes will have, it will scan, and okay, it will scan all the components. Each and every component will be treated as a one class, and for each and every class, okay, for each and every pozo, okay, instantiation will be given automatically. Means objects will be created automatically. See, this is where whatever the, okay, Spring Boot project you create, this is the first point. Okay, this is the starting point of your application every time. Okay, whichever the project you create in your Spring Boot, the starting point, okay, your the starting point of the application will be here itself. Okay, the flow will start from here only, because here only we want, okay, default configurations. Here only we want enable, okay, auto configuration future we want. Here only we want, okay, a instantiation objects for all our POSO classes. Guys, apart from this, now I want to show you one web application. Guys, let's just right click on this package, go to the new, okay, go to the class, create your own class. Let's create your own class. For example, I will create my class name as hello world only. I will create my class name as also hello world. Okay, don't take any main method, just finish it. Guys, here I want to do a web application. What is a web application I want to do is, I want to run this, okay, in the server, Tomcat server, and in the web, okay, in the back, in the web, I want to see, in the front end, I want to see the output using a port number and URL. What I want to do is, 1 minute. I will create a one method, public string. Guys, I will create a one method whose return type is string. Okay. And method name is wish. Method name is wish. And here, this method should return string, right? Okay. This method should return string when I am calling from the web. Return good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. It should return this one. Okay. Guys, now see, you have created one controller class. See, guys, in the web application, whenever you are creating a class and okay, see, when I execute from the front end there, I want to see this output called good morning, everyone. In the front end, I should get, okay, a good morning, everyone. I should, means I should map this. I should map this request. I should map this request, okay, in the web. For user will be hitting the URL, right? With the URL, okay, you should map its request. For that, guys, you have to use two annotations. See, the first one is at rest controller, okay, and the next one is request mapping, okay, at rest controller and request mapping. See, guys, at request mapping, and in the double inverted comma, you have to give an extension. This is the extension you have to use in the web there. Means that web request will be matched with controller class. Okay, whatever the web request URL you are giving, that URL with this extension will be mapped with, okay, a controller class. And we have also given one of the, okay, controller class, because for every web application, when you're doing a web application, okay, for the class you have to give annotation called at rest controller. At rest controller, because it creates rest. See here, the name itself indicates restful APIs. You have something called restful API, right? At this will create this will, okay, at rest controller is the annotation which will establish the communication between our controller class and URL, our controller class and a web. That's why for every controller class we will give annotation called at rest controller, and the at request mapping will map our request with this, okay, controller class. This, what is the annotation we have given that at rest controller? See, come back to the IDE. Okay, here you have to give at rest controller. What is the meaning of at rest controller? At rest controller, okay, here at rest controller will, okay, is acts as, okay, which will acts like a restful API, means between your Java application and a web. So it will, okay, commonly it will create a bridge between your Java application and, okay, a web. In the web, user is hitting the URL, right? So that URL should be mapped with your, okay, a extension which you have given here. That is called, okay, a request mapping. See here, we have another annotation called we have another annotation called request mapping. The name itself indicates this request mapping annotation is used to map your extension or controller class, okay, with your URL. Guys, here you can see here at request mapping. Guys, at rest controller is the annotation. You have to import it. Control Shift O. Okay, you have imported at request mapping. You have to give another annotation called at request mapping. Okay, guys, here in the at request mapping, for example, okay, I will give my extension as /hello. You can give any extension you want. The same extension you have to use it in, okay, URL also. Control Shift O. Guys, 1 minute. Okay. Now, guys, everything is fine. Guys, first, if you want to do it in web, if you want to see the output in web, you have to run it in server first. You have to deploy this application into the server. You know, Spring Boot application comes with a default server. Your Spring Boot application comes with a default server called Tomcat. And Tomcat will, okay, by default, a Tomcat server will run your application in the port called 8080. Remember, one more important question for your interview. What is the default server and in which port number it will run in? Okay. Spring Boot applications will always run in the default server called Tomcat and a port number called 8080. If you want, you can keep on changing that default server to Tomcat, Jetty or Undertow. You can also change your port numbers as well in the, okay, application.properties file. In the application.properties file here, the application.properties file, you want, you can change it, but I will run your application in the, okay, same. Now, guys, just after giving this, you have to run it in server. You have to deploy it in server, right? See, just click on this class, okay, or see, come here, click on this project itself, spring.helloworld.boot. You just click on this project itself, run as, guys, run as Spring Boot app. Okay, Spring Boot app. You can see here there is an option called Spring Boot app. Guys, I will show you one more time. Just right click on this project name you have created, run as Spring Boot app. Okay, guys, allow access. Guys, you can see here in the console, Tomcat started on port number 8080. Tomcat started on port number 8080. Started running application. Started application in 2.25 seconds. Process running for 3.4, okay, 66 seconds. Means now you have successfully deployed your application into the server. Okay, you have deployed your application, okay, successfully into the server. It is running here, okay, in the Tomcat. Now let's go to the web. Okay, let's go to the web and see the output, what it is coming. Okay, guys, let's go to the web. Let's go to the web. Here, guys, you have to hit localhost. Guys, you have to hit localhost. Okay, localhost. What is the default port number you're running? 8080 slash, what is the extension you're using? Okay, see, at request mapping, there in the double inverted comma /hello. I've given /hello, right? So you have to give localhost hyphen, okay, 8080 /hello. Okay, guys, you can see I am getting output. Good morning, everyone. It is, I'm just showing you simple web applications. Okay, how to create one Spring Boot project and how to perform one simple web application I'm showing you. Okay, good morning, everyone. Guys, any doubt here in this?
One question.
Yeah.
We can also generate Spring applications from Spring Initializer website, right?
Oh, yeah, you can.
So we can use that. I mean that generated file in project in Eclipse IDE.
You can use it.
Yeah. So I mean,
See,
you just said that we cannot. We cannot use Spring Boot applications in Eclipse. So that is why I'm little
okay.
confused.
Yes, by using Spring Initializer, you can use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, the next one
And
is,
yeah,
yeah,
aren't you sharing the, I mean, the notes,
yeah, I'm sharing it.
but they, I mean, they are not uploading in the drive, so that is why I'm asking.
Notes are only recordings.
Only recording, not the notes.
See, this class, this Spring Boot resources, I did not share it, but till now, core Java, advanced Java, and Spring, everything I have shared it.
The
Have you got
PPTs,
it?
I mean, I'm asking
Yeah,
the PPTs.
PPTs. Yeah, PPTs, recordings, everything I have shared till now. You did not get it.
Okay. I mean, we are only getting the videos, not the PPT slides. So
Uh,
I'm just asking. Yeah.
I don't have
I'll
a
ask.
direct access to share with you people because they did not add
Yes,
me in
yes, yes.
group.
Yes, I understand. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Consult your head, your team head or manager once again.
Yeah,
You'll
sure,
get it.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Guys, any other doubts here? We will see more about your web application, okay, in RESTful APIs. Okay, I've simply shown you how to create your Spring Boot project and how to execute okay, when web application, simple web application. Guys, let us see how the dependency, okay, injection will happen. With dependency injection, we will also see how to perform a JUnit testing. One simple example I will show you with a JUnit testing. Guys, an example for dependency injection using Spring Boot and perform JUnit testing. By performing JUnit testing, we will see whether dependency injection is happening or not by creating one test case. Means by creating one, okay, our own test case. Guys, you have to, I will create some two interfaces and two implementation classes. Okay, let's create the DAO. Create the DAO first. Data access object. I am taking okay, implementation class, service and service implementation class. If you want, you can take your own classes like A, okay, class A, class B extends, okay, implements A. You can also take like that. Okay, I am taking for sake of understanding data access object DAO implementation class, service implementation class. Very simple. I am creating one interface called DAO first. Interface DAO. And for that DAO, I'm creating one implementation class. How do we create an implementation, okay, class for that? Public class DAO implementation class implements DAO because this is an interface, right? So you have to use implements DAO. Similarly, I'm creating one more service interface, and I'm creating a class, service implementation class implements service. Okay, we will see. Create the reference variable. Fifth step, what I have to do is create the reference variable of DAO implementation class into the service implementation class and perform dependency injection using @AutoWired. You know @AutoWired. @AutoWired is the annotation which is used to perform dependency injection of, means automatic dependency of, okay, a secondary dependencies into the POSO class. Let's go to the test class generated in the Spring Boot project. Okay, and see, every time I was deleting one dependency, okay, called test dependency, Spring Boot, Spring hyphen boot hyphens, okay, test means we were not doing any JUnit testing. That's why I was deleting that whole, okay, dependency and even package name also. But here we will do, okay, a JUnit testing to confirm whether dependency injection is happening or not. Guys, now we will see, okay, I have done all these 6 steps, okay, in the program. Guys, what is the first step? Create, just you just have to create the DAO interface. Create the DAO interface, guys. Public, okay, there is one package name which I have created, public interface payment DAO. Okay, public interface payment DAO. I have created one interface. The name of the interface is payment DAO. There is no, okay, there is nothing in this. It is an empty, okay, interface. There are no okay, uh, there are no any incomplete methods here. It's an empty, okay, empty interface I have created. Create the DAO implementation class. For this, you create implementation class, guys. Public class payment DAO IMPL. See, guys, payment DAO IMPL. The name itself indicates the payment DAO implementation class. The class name is payment DAO IMPL. Implements payment DAO. Implements payment DAO. Though this is an empty, I am just implementing it. That's all. Implements payment DAO, and I have given at repository. Guys, at repository is the one more annotation. At repository is the annotation which will create the object. Okay, which will create the object of all the implementation classes present in this package, repository package. Okay, and whose object reference will be stored in the payment DAO. See, object references can be stored in the interface reference variable, right? So at repository is going to create an object of payment DAO IMPL class, and whose object reference will be stored in a payment DAO reference variable. See here, I have given in the above program at repository annotation will create an object of the payment DAO IMPL class. Not only that IMPL class, it will create an object for all the classes present in that repository by scanning that full repository or package itself. Since I have only one class, it will create an object for only this one. Okay, in this package, you may have some 10 classes. If you have 10 classes, it will at repository will create it. Guys, one more interface. Create the service interface. Okay, public interface payment service. I kept the service in the service. Same. Okay, services package. Payment service. Guys, you can come here now. There is a one implementation called service. There is for service interface. The implementation class name is public class payment service IMPL implements payment service. Okay, I am creating a implementation class. I am creating implementation class for payment service whose name is payment service IMPL. Payment service IMPL. Guys, in this payment service IMPL, okay, I am performing dependency injection. In whichever the class you are performing dependency injection, I am taking for that class, it is taken at service. Okay, at service. Guys, now see, if you want to perform dependency injection of secondary dependencies or reference variables, I have an auto word annotation. See guys, private payment DAO means what? Payment service. Okay, see here, payment service IMPL is a dependent class now. Okay, payment service IMPL is a dependent class which is depending upon which object? Okay, which is depending upon payment DAO IMPL. I have told payment DAO IMPL. Okay, object will be created and whose reference will be stored in the payment DAO. That's why I have created one reference variable of that interface. Private payment DAO means DAO is a reference variable of type payment DAO. In this, what your container should do? Your container should automatically create an object of payment DAO IMPL, and it should store, it should inject that into, payment DAO. This one means using dependency injection. You can see here get DAO, set DAO. I have used set DAO and then get DAO. Using dependency injection, it should inject that object reference into payment DAO. Guys, now if you to confirm whether dependency injection is happening or not, to confirm whether this dependency injection is happening or not, we have created one more class, that is test class. That is test class, which will be there in your test class will be automatically generated. Okay, but you have to keep your own test cases in that. Every time when you create your Spring Boot project, every time when you create your Spring Boot project, a test class will be generated. See here, last time in the Spring tool suite, you have created this one, right? You can go here. There is source-test-java. There is one package. You can click here. There is a test class generated. You can see here. Okay, this annotation is annotated with at Spring Boot test. Okay, means whenever you are using a JUnit testing, we can make use of annotation called at Spring Boot test. Okay, guys, you have to create your own test cases in this. You have to create your own test cases in this, and you can perform JUnit testing as well. Okay, if you are not performing any JUnit testing, you can just simply ignore this test class generated. Now what I want to do is I want to perform JUnit testing to confirm whether dependency injection is happening or not. Guys, you can see here in the test class, I have taken my test class is generated, right? At Spring Boot test will be there, and class name will be automatically taken there. Now, to confirm dependency injection is happening or not, guys, see, I have to call one of these methods. I have to call one of these methods, right? See here, I have to call either get DAO method. I have to call. See, I have used get DAO method, and set DAO methods. Automatically how to generate setters and getters, you know. If I call this get DAO method, it should return DAO object reference. It should return DAO object reference. Then only it is okay. Then only we can confirm that dependency injection is happened. Dependency injection is happened in the sense our container has created payment DAO IMPL implementation class objects and whose reference will be successfully loaded into the payment DAO. So to confirm that, I have to call this method. Okay, get DAO. Get DAO is okay. Is what type of method? Is a non-static method. Non-static method present in which class? Payment service IMPL. Payment service IMPL. Guys, this payment service IMPL objects will be created whose object reference will be stored in a payment service. Okay, I am storing that object reference in a payment service. You can see here. I've taken, I'm sorry, I've taken that object reference in the same class name, not payment service IMPL. Payment service IMPL service. Payment service IMPL service means what? Payment service IMPL is a class name. Service is the reference variable at auto wired. Okay, in this test class, I am taking this one. Means what? Okay, again, container should create an object of payment service IMPL class and it should inject that reference variable into the service. Now, using this service, I am calling okay get DAO method. Before calling that get DAO method, guys, if successfully object is created for payment service IMPL and if it is injected into the service, means what? In the service, there will be a memory address. Okay. If the in the memory in the service variable, if the memory address is not there, it means what? In the service, there will be a null. Okay. If in the service, if there is a null, means that dependency injection has not happened and object for payment service IMPL is okay not created. So to confirm that, okay, we will use one method. Okay, we will use that method. One of the okay method called assert okay not null. Guys, now let's come here. Let's create your own okay test case name. Public okay void test dependency injection. Okay, test dependency injection is my test case name. And then in this, guys, in this, I am taking okay two cases. First, okay, First, I'm confirming whether successfully object is created for payment service IMPL and object's memory address is stored in service. If it is created in service, there will be no null. Okay, apart from other than null, there will be a memory address here. To confirm that, I'm using a method called assert not null. Assert not null. After confirming that, guys, using that service, I am performing service.getDAO. Okay, I am just calling service.getDAO. Guys, now to perform this JUnit testing, see here I've created only one test here. Okay, this test should pass. How to confirm whether dependency injection is not or not? Dependency injection is happened or not? You have to pass your test. Means you have to okay pass your test cases. You may have created some 10 test cases in the okay in this class. If all those 10 test cases are cleared, it means the dependency injection or whatever the code you kept inside these methods will be okay running correctly. Let's go to your okay IDE. See guys, there is a one thing which I have created. Spring Core. I hope Spring Core. Yeah, guys, Spring Core. Come here. See here. Applicate in this. There will be yeah Spring Core application dot Java is already default generated one. See payment DAO interface, payment DAO IMPL, payment service, and then payment service IMPL. And then guys, here there is a test. In this test, I have okay written the same code which I have. Assert not null service dot get DAO. Let's execute whether okay let's stop this in the server. Guys, there is no need to execute or deploy this application in a server because I'm not doing any okay web application here. I am just confirming whether this is happening or not. Means dependency injection is happening or not by creating only okay one test case here. Guys, directly you click on this okay Spring applications okay test.java. Directly click on this class name which is present in test-java run as JUnit test. Guys, you just click on this run as JUnit test. Guys, you can see here. runs one by one, errors 0, failures 0. Means runs one by one in this one test case I have created. Okay, test dependency injection is a name. In that I have just called get DAO method using service. So here also successfully payment service IMPL class is okay, object is created. Into that it is injected, whose address is injected into the service. Using service I am successfully calling get DAO method. Guys, this is how you can simply create one test case and perform JUnit testing. We will use this JUnit testing when we are performing okay a database operations. Okay, before that, that's why before that I have shown you, because we will use JPA, Java Persistence API. In that Java Persistence API, you have to see using inbuilt memory database called H2, what are the query it is creating, and then only you can understand RESTful okay APIs also. That's why you should understand how to just okay confirm whether dependency injection is happening or not by creating a one test case using JUnit test cases. Guys, any doubts in this? Guys, if no doubts, then okay, I will end my session here. I will continue tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.